welcome back to the Bat-Blitz of 2016, where we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of the live-action Batman TV show all year long here on Terrific TV Toys. Series 4 is what we're moving on to now in this collection by Figures Toy Company, and in this series we have got, let's see, a guy who likes to read, a guy who likes to freeze, a guy who thinks he's an ancient king, and a guy who serves tea.
The guy who likes to freeze is up next. He is Mr. Freeze, and he's a very well-known villain in Batman lore. He's been in basically any incarnation of Batman over the years, not just this 1966 TV show. He was famously played by Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 1990s film franchise, and then Batman the Animated Series in the 1990s also. He was darker and edgier, voiced by Michael Ansara. And then there was Batman Beyond. He also appeared in the Batman animated series a few years later, where Clancy Brown voiced him. And Clancy Brown, by the way, has had a lot of different roles, voice and otherwise, in the DC universe. And then even right now on Gotham, the Gotham TV show that is in its second season right now as of press time, Mr. Freeze, the Mr. Freeze character has been portrayed by Nathan Darrow. He's playing him right now on that show. And then the Brave and the Bold animated series, the Young Justice animated series, just anything, like I said, just about any Batman incarnation, except for perhaps, I think, offhand, the one Batman incarnation that I can think of that did not have Mr. Freeze, correct me if I'm wrong, was the Christian Bale film franchise of the 2000s. But besides that, he's been seen a lot over the years, very well-known villain. And on this 1966 TV show, he was played by 3 different actors. They each did 2 episodes of the show. The first one was George Sanders, and his episodes were in February 1966, just the following month after the show debuted on ABC. And then he was played by Otto Preminger for 2 episodes later in 1966. This was in November. And then the following year, 1967, Eli Wallach donned that silver suit to play Mr. Freeze in a couple episodes that year. This figure is clearly Otto Preminger. When George Sanders originated the role on that show, he wore the full suit with the helmet. He had like a helmet on. And he didn't always have, I don't think, the silvery makeup. It looked like he was kind of flesh-colored under the helmet too. And then when Otto Preminger was on, he looked exactly like this, and you can see the screenshots of Otto Preminger. And he was bald, as you can see here. He's bald. And then when Eli Wallach took over the role, he had hair, a full head of hair. Of course, Eli Wallach, I think, was definitely the hottest of the 3. I always liked Eli Wallach as an actor. Otto Preminger was actually more of a director. He was a director with a very long resume and a much shorter resume when it came to acting, but he did take the occasional roles. And of course, everybody wanted to be on Batman at the time. It was the popular thing to do. So who can blame him? And this figure seems so accurate when you look at art, when you look at these screenshots, and then when you look at art of Otto Preminger in this role, like if you do a search online, you see the details. I mean, the silver gloves and the belt, and even the pockets on the front of the top of his outfit, his Freeze collar, and that's what, by the way, Preminger and Wallach wore this Freeze collar instead of having the helmet on and everything, because this, in theory, this whole gizmo was supposed to keep Mr. Freeze's body cold, because he had to be cold. In any incarnation over the years, he's needed to have a cold body. He hasn't always had the same name, though. By the way, on the Batman live-action series of the 60s, his alter ego name was Dr. Art Shivel, which is a little bit of a departure. Of course, in other incarnations, he was Victor Freeze as the alternate name, like maybe spelled like the word fries, F-R-I-E-S, but pronounced Freeze. But in Gotham, it's pronounced a little bit differently too. So let's take a look at this figure. You know what would have been interesting, talking about the three different actors, what would have been interesting is to include a screenshot of each of the three Mr. Freezes, and then to have alternate heads. You know how they did on the set of $6 Million Man figures that came out in recent years, which you'll see in another episode of Terrific TV Toys. There was a Rudy Wells figure that had like three different heads for the three different actors that portrayed him. And I'm thinking, you know, if they really wanted to, they could have done that for this. It would have been interesting. All right, looking at Preminger as Mr. Freeze. You know, it seems like, for how accurate this figure is, the one thing he does not have is that big, huge freeze gun that Mr. Freeze had with him as an accessory on the TV show. Although, look at this. He does have some accessory action going on here. They did put a lot of effort into this figure, again, as Figures Toy Company has done with all of the other figures in this set. This one, as we mentioned, is part of the 4th series. I already have Series 5 in hand downstairs in the BRBTV Batcave, so we're just going to keep moving onward this year. We just can't stop because they keep making these figures. So after this set of 4, we'll look at a couple other things on the show, and then we will move on to the 5th wave. And I believe it's the 6th wave that has my girl in it. I mean, the 5th wave has my girl as Barbara Gordon in a swimsuit for one particular set of episodes. But then, not to digress too much, the following wave, I think, is including the Batgirl figure. Oh, I can't wait. He is really loose. And his mold is tubby. You know how back in the day, the Migos, they had a couple different male molds, and like when it came to Boss Hogg on the Dukes of Hazzard or the Penguin in the DC Comics set, they used the chubbier mold, and that's what it looks like they have done here. Used a chubby mold. It's not the typical mold of the other male figures in this Figures Toy Company set. Very, I almost want to say this is like looser joints than the other figures, but wow. Look at this freeze collar. It's got the detail of the red dot, the white dot, the green dot, just like you see it on those screenshots. And his raging eyebrows, also accurate for how he looked. And if you look close too, the eyes are rimmed in orange, really matching the eyebrows too. Very interesting effect, and it looks like deep in there the eyes themselves are bluish. But yeah, bald head with the grayish silver cast, and it looks like the whole figure, the whole plastic figure is colored that way. No need to make him at all flesh tone, of course. The whole figure is that silvery gray cast. Looks like he's got shorter sleeves to tuck into this, and guess I found out. It's not a glove, it is a removable hand, which we have seen elsewhere in this set. We've seen this idea of a hand kind of on a peg and a hole to fit on. Removable, but then it pops back into place. Thank you. And we got the little tanks back here attached to his collar. Great detail, 2 separate pieces. Molded on, attached. Yeah. Very interesting accessory and gizmo, but one that's made to stay on, of course, so it doesn't get lost. I'm not seeing any way to take it off. And then this whole outfit is a jumpsuit. And like I said, it's got the sort of the fake pockets on with fake zippers. As part of the, like a silk screening or something, or painted on the fabric. Nice touch with that. Silver boots, which will come off, and I know I'm going to have a heck of a time getting the pant legs back in there, but just to show you the typical articulation on the foot and the knee. Nice silvery, grayish, maybe bluish flesh tone again. And nice silver boots. Got the old looks like painted silver work boots with, yeah, see, he's really loose. Wow, loose and wobbly. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. And simulated laces on those boots, and plenty of detail. Let's see if this guy will stand. Nice that there's really nothing to lose. He's just all in one piece, all meant to stay together. And if he had his gun, he would be ready to rock out. I wonder if his, I don't see that his gun is part of the accessory set. I think these are all Batman and Robin accessories. They are not villain accessories. So you're just going to have to make a gun if you really want a gun for him. Not that it matters. I think he's enough of a terror on his own. Wow. Okay, I'm thinking next up in this series, for Series 4, it's just got to be that awful King Tut. And no, we won't sing the Steve Martin song, although that would be really appropriate. Stay tuned.